So we'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. We are complying with the open meeting laws and public record laws, introduction of visitors and guests. There are none. Any citizen comments? Seeing nobody, we will go on to the next agenda item, which is approval of consent agenda items.
I move approval of the consent agenda items.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Presentation from our support organizations. Seeing, well, anything from the foundation?
The only thing, just to, well, first of all, the foundation meets tomorrow night, so there's, and we didn't meet in February, so there's not really been any meetings.
Okay.
But the one thing I did want to put on people's calendars is the fundraiser with a theme of
An 80s prom.
an 80s prom on a boat on May 7th out here. Take a boat ride, and
That's awesome.
so, anyway, so.
I heard mullets are coming back, so.
I think the tickets are $50 and includes food and a good time and obviously a good cause.
That's awesome.
Probably a better time than we all had at our proms.
Now, is that the
first time
Bee Gees
around.
or is that the 70s?
That was the 70s.
Mullets
That's the
is-
70s.
mullets is the
What's-
80s.
Oh,
Mullets
I
is
mean,
the
my
80s.
son had, I mean, he graduated in let's see, I think.
I graduated in 89. so-
89.
Perfect,
right
in the heart of it. Yep.
All right.
You know, one thing I'd like to add to the foundation is that the recognition for the top donors to the foundation, there's going to be an event. I can't remember the date. Do you remember the date? Never mind. So, it is Rebecca Coles is coming in to discuss bees
Nice.
and honey. And so there's going to be a nice little presentation on bees, everything they do, and she's hoping to bring in some local honey gatherers and have them with samples of their different honey. Now that's something I hadn't considered, right? That probably honey's a little different flavor from hive to hive or whatever. So anyway, it's going to be a nice event, hour and a half, something like that. And but again, it's not open to the public, it's invitation only, but as people are talking about soliciting for major donations, this is one of the things that we do for recognition. We have a nice little event, separate event for those people that participate.
Nice. Thanks, Rich.
Yep.
No update from the Friends, so we'll go right on to president's comments, reports, and municipal updates. So we'll start with the city of Hudson.
Nothing really to report. Everybody's supportive, loving what's going on here.
Okay. How about the village?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Town of Hudson?
Although we had a record 3.5-hour meeting, nothing to report, which is
All right.
good.
Yes, that is good. Might as well, anything from the schools?
No.
Okay.
I
Joe?
will be presenting Thursday night. And one of the things I'll be pleased to tell them is that our policies are on the website. So anyone in the community who's interested in our policies can check them out for themselves.
That's awesome. Jim, do you have anything to add? Okay, and I have nothing to add as well. Director's report, we'll go to you, Tina.
Okay. So I did send that out. Did everyone have a chance to review it? And do you have any questions?
I think I do.
Basically, we're doing
Go ahead.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Yes, Barb.
What are open programs?
Open programs are, if you look right outside, there is a station there that we know how many items we put out so we can track. It's a passive program. They can come in, they can complete the worksheet, the art project. We do something different every month.
Okay.
So we kind of get an idea of how many are coming in, stopping by, and doing those.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes.
I had, you perhaps gave those statistics before, and I hadn't taken note, and I didn't
Before
understand.
they were actually included with the children's programs because they're family oriented.
Okay.
But,
Okay,
for the annual report, they kind of switched things up for next year,
Okay.
so I'm tracking it a little differently.
okay, thank you. That was not at all what I guessed, so.
Okay. Anyone else?
You know, when you come in, so right now they got the thing on brains and helmets. So who actually sets up that display?
It depends. Sometimes it's a community group for raising awareness, sometimes it's staff. We just ended our winter reading program, so it was winter reading prior to that, so now it's, I just saw that one, and I think we did it. I think it's one of ours.
I have a question on the library revenues, current revenues with monthly total. Page 7. It says over under budget, but I'm not sure if I understand. Is it really, it's not over budget. Like the Village of North Hudson looks like they paid half of
Yeah.
what they budgeted.
Yeah, and so as the year
So-
progresses, so it's based on the total budget for the year, and as the year progresses, that number changes. It's just, so we.
So it would eventually get to zero,
Yeah,
or?
we get half at the beginning of the year and half in August from our municipal partners.
Okay. But the library's not over budget by that much.
No, it's just the line items, and
Okay.
so we track how we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
So the only thing, I did have a couple of things to really quickly add. The St. Croix County librarians met last week here at Hudson. There had been a switch with all of the newspapers consolidating, and our newspaper article kind of got pulled from us, and it became a rotating, but nobody's doing it, so Hudson Star Observer called us and said, we want Hudson to take over again. So we will be doing it occasionally if another library, we have operating, if another library has something really important that they want to stick, an article,
Right.
then we'll share.
Right.
We'll play nice, but for the majority of the articles, there'll be weekly articles once again, and they'll be coming from Hudson.
And I was pleased to see that Shelley was invited to be on their
Reader's Advisory.
Reader's Advisory.
Yes.
That was,
Yeah.
HSO is raising their prices to $2 in addition to.
We talked a little bit about Reach Out and Read, which is, it's a statewide project. River Falls is actually coordinating it. We just provide our story time hours. They're putting together something that goes out to pediatricians, offices, clinics, things like that, to get the word out that we have these literacy story times going on. So that's another working together. Some of the libraries have some things, some kits. They have memory kits, caregiver kits, memory maker kits. So we're going to be kind of exploring those, seeing what they have. Some are for Alzheimer's, dementia patients, and some are for helping caregivers, learning like trivia. I guess there are questions, prompts to get them talking. So we're just going to tend to look at that and see if that's something maybe we want to see if the foundation or the Friends would like to do a grant for. So we're exploring those right now. New Richmond does have a home delivery. I think they deliver to the nursing homes or the living facilities. So I want to get a little more information. I know they use volunteers. That might be something for our Friends group to maybe consider. Because I know the Friends are constantly looking for ways that they can contribute. Emails are coming in April. Right now, IFLS is down to one IT person, so I've got the request in there, but he's spread pretty thin. So that is in process, and once we get those, then I will get them out to everybody and get those sheets for you to sign too. So that will be at next meeting. We had a brunch, teddy bear brunch. We had teddy bears that spent the night on Friday evening. If you were on Facebook, I think you can look at lots of antics that the teddy bears were photographed and caught doing. Touching things they shouldn't have been touching, reading books. But we had 67 that came for the brunch. It wasn't anything big or grand, but it was a lot of fun, and the kids really loved knowing what Shelley put together a whole slideshow of what the teddy bears had been caught doing overnight. So that was a lot of fun. We've got some great programs coming. Lorna Lambic will be here again in May. She was a pretty big hit last time she was here. So we're looking forward to that. Summer reading is well underway, the planning for that. Shelley has we are starting with the new forms, the programming. So going forward, those are being given out to all performers, potential performers for our for our programming. So that takes us to the next item, and that is, I'm sure everyone's heard of the coronavirus.
One question before we get there, because I know that'll go on. So on the upcoming meetings and events, so you have from 3:10 to 4:12, may I ask, is there a way to know, are all of these library sponsored? Are only some of them library sponsored?
So Hudson Leadership Day, that was a chamber event that I attended. So these are things that happen here or that I attend. The homeschool stitching, that is library sponsored. Genealogy sponsored. Yeah, these are pretty much all library sponsored.
Meaning you reached out to have somebody or?
Yes,
Yeah.
the library staff plans them. So they're either somebody coming in to do the program or it's staff that's doing the program. So, like the Sunday Family Films, that's put on by staff. K-Kids is with the Kiwanis. Adult Storytime happens at Hop and Barrel, and that's done by a library staff person, an interactive. Read with Marley will not be happening. Actually, the dog therapy program has pulled the dogs until the coronavirus dies down.
See, there was a tie-in.
Yeah, good job.
Segue.
Introduction to Korean cooking.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
I think it's my sister-in-law, isn't it?
is it?
I think so.
Okay, could be. Yeah. Those cooking programs, I mean, some staff have done them and they are really popular.
We've had her authentic Korean dishes. Very good.
So, coronavirus. This is really just to have a plan in place. I don't want to see anybody panicking, and I want to be able to answer the public. This is what we're doing. I want staff to know we have a plan. So it's really just to be proactive. There is one thing, I just realized this when I reread it for about the 5th time. The protocols, there is one, all returns must be done via the book drop. All materials received in the book drop should be handled wearing gloves, and items should be wiped down with Lysol Clorox wipes. That should actually be phase 2. That should not be immediately. We're not doing that.
That whole, all
That-
returns must be
Yeah,
done by.
that whole section there should be in phase 2. If it spreads more to our area, I mean, right now, I don't think there are, I have not heard of any cases in St. Croix County. Or
Pierce.
Pierce, yes. Yeah. And, yeah, that one, but there was a DI event, I think, yeah, that Shelley actually was in attendance at. So we're just taking precautions. Kids put lots of toys in their mouths. I know that kids aren't specifically being affected as older people are, but they are vectors, so spread. So this really is, I know the city council talked about their plans. I think the city administrator gave you guys a briefing last night.
Yeah, we asked the Scott St. Martin, who is the fire chief and also our emergency services director, came in and Jeff Willems, police chief, and talked about preparedness, and obviously most of this, probably all of it, is going to be coordinated through the county and the state. So again, it's just, we need to let people know that we're talking about it and that we are preparing for it, for the eventuality, right? It's going to happen. And it's all around us right now. So just want to let everybody know that we're on top of it, making plans for it.
Yeah. And that's where you get to phase 3, library ordered to close. So that would be if federal government, state, county came in and said, it's out of our control. You're closing. So that's really what that was for.
Do we need to talk about compensation or for staff if, clearly we're not there, but maybe in a month we might be, so.
Rich, do you know what the city's plan is?
For closing down? No, we haven't
Okay.
hit that point.
Yeah, I mean, we would follow whatever
Right.
the city would do, wouldn't we? Yeah, okay.
So for some position, I mean, honestly, for me, I have so much work that I do it in the evenings, so
Right.
I can fill my days, no problem.
Right,
I think Shelley with program planning, that wouldn't be a problem. There's, collection development that could be done. It's not gonna be all of their hours.
right.
So there are options, and I have thought about this. So our circulation staff could certainly make up those hours at a later time. I mean, we could consider paying them as scheduled, but that has to be, those hours have to be worked later. I don't know.
Right.
Those are just thoughts, or they could choose to not be paid and, not have to make up the time later.
Right.
Not, everybody's situation is different, and this is, if it comes to that, it's beyond their control.
It's unprecedented, but.
Yeah. So that is definitely something that needs to be discussed.
Need action from us? Need to approve the plan?
For this, I think it would be good that it would be adopted by the library board, just as a show of support from the library board to staff and to the public.
Move it.
Okay, got a motion?
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I do.
Yes.
At the bottom of phase 2, there are some questions that are on there. Are those questions that you are seeking for us to help answer, or those questions that you're saying would be explored if it was
Yes.
moved into phase 2?
Yeah, and actually that should be phase 3.
Phase 3, okay.
Yes, but those are questions that the library staff, we need to research and get the answers if we move into that stage, yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion is approved.
I have to run. I got a plan commission meeting. I have to check. Good to see everybody.
You
See you,
too.
Rich.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is quarterly library board trustee training.
I don't know, Rich is leaving, he probably should be here for this.
I'll watch the film.
Okay.
Oh.
Film at 7.
Okay, so this is quarterly, and for Tracy, this would be new, but it's just for the rest of you, it's kind of a review. So, the mission and vision of the library, The mission is the Hudson Area Public Library strengthens the community by providing information, inspiration, ideas, and a world of possibilities. Our vision is that the Hudson Area Public Library is a thriving community center for information, inspiration, and ideas that empower personal growth and provides a warm, welcome gathering space that improves lives and connections and connects the community. Is recognized as a leading resource for educational support, self-directed lifelong learning opportunities, and 21st century literacies. Is a cornerstone of family, cultural, and civic life in the community, and is a forward-thinking organization that believes in the potential of each employee and inspires and empowers them to succeed professionally. So, the library is guided by Chapter 43 of the state statute. That's where those are the laws we follow. The overall structure, if you look at that second slide there, the support structure for Wisconsin libraries. Coland is an advisory group that is appointed by the governor. The state superintendent oversees the Division of Libraries and Technology, followed by our public library systems. So we are a part of the IFLIS library system. That's our regional library, our consortium. And then there are 3 types of libraries: joint libraries, municipal libraries, and consolidated county libraries. So Brown County over in Green Bay, the Hudson Area Joint Library, we're one of the maybe 3 left of joint libraries. And then municipal libraries, such as New Richmond, Madison Public, like that. That is the hierarchy of libraries. So we are, as I said, part of the Indian Head, which I borrowed an old slide, and they have changed their name is now IFLIS, for Inspiring and Facilitating Library Services. We are a part of the MORE consortium. So not all libraries are part of the consortium, and those libraries do not share some of the things that we have with the consortium.
Tina, can you go back to what you just said about IFLIS?
Yep.
It's a new name.
Why? When did that happen?
That happened about 2 years ago. So
It says right here, Indian Head.
Yep, their legal name is still Indian Head.
Oh.
But they go by IFLIS. And I think,
Well, we've always known them as IFLIS.
Right.
Indian Head Federated
And I
Library
kind of-
System.
yeah.
So now they use the same letters and gave them different,
They're still
meanings?
legally Indian Head Federated Library System. But I think it's a marketing thing.
Ay,
I was gonna say, it
ay,
sounds
ay.
like
It's
branding.
Yes, branding. That's what it is.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does your head hurt?
Yes, after that one it does.
Ordinary instead is like,
So chapter 43 is where we get the system membership requirements, what we have to do to be a part of a system. And I'm not going to read these all out to you. All of you have heard this from me before, except for Tracy, but I think, Tracy, this is probably in your
Packet,
binder
yeah.
that I gave you.
Yes.
If you have questions, I'll happily attempt to answer. Yes, sir.
Another question, with this 43.15, system membership requirements. So, I think as part of this library, you may have a library, you may have a county library system, you may have a joint library system, you may have, and then there's membership requirements. Where does requirement turn into state law?
State law becomes required, outlines the requirements,
Yeah.
the reverse is true.
And it's tied to.
But you may be a library, so
But this
so
is
you
not-
can't have a
this is
law
not-
against something that doesn't have to exist.
No, this system is not a library's
I'm asking so that I understand.
Right, I understand, and I'm trying, because the problem is the word system is used in two different ways. And
So is the word membership. Membership means it's not mandatory.
well,
But it's the access to the funding, right? To be part of the overall library system that's overseen by the state to
Right.
access the
Because the state.
flow of funds.
Yeah.
the state
Yeah,
funds.
Yes.
IFLIS.
So by being a part of IFLIS, we receive the benefits of the funds that go to IFLIS are then,
So if a library says, yep, we want to be identified as a public library, but we're not going to have a certified librarian on staff, then the
Correct.
state can say, then you're not getting our money.
yeah,
That's my end.
because the state,
Right.
yeah, the money flows from the state to the regional library system.
It should say regional library system membership requirements. I think that would help.
There's deep roots in this line of questioning, just so you're aware. It really starts from the top down. These discussions and these questions have been tried to been answered several times, many, many years ago. There seems to be an understanding that there's a law surrounding the library operation, et cetera, but yet here and further in the back, as I look through here, none of it sounds to be legally enforced.
So
So
when
we
I
use
was-
the word membership, we use the word may have, not has to have, or
Yeah.
not under
So
penalty
Mary, when I
have.
read through this, I read through 43 like multiple
Mm-hmm.
times, like a few months ago. And my understanding, a lot of it ties back to, you don't have to have certain things, but then if you don't have certain things, you're subject to, like, a lot of it goes back to the rural tax, and then you're now no longer exempt from that tax. So you can still have this building and you can still tax your municipalities. That's part of what I read. So the
Correct,
rest of it I-
but we're getting punished right now by that county library tax system anyway.
Yeah, there's.
So we're not benefiting from that structure.
We are, but not to the fullest capacity. And on legal grounds, I also looked into that. That 30% can be utilized for whatever they deem necessary as a governing, as a taxing authority. And that happens across the state. So unfortunately, the law does not protect our library against prejudice. Because it doesn't, the statute, nowhere in the statute does it say, if you do to one, you do to all. There's nothing in there that says that you have to do it as a county. You can pick on individual libraries.
Right, and I think we've been down that road as a board, and I don't know if I wanted to really go in that area. It's really getting to the roots of, in my mind, there's always been confusion about legally mandated libraries and the option to be a library.
You are correct that there is an option to be a library. We don't have to have a library in the city of Hudson.
But the point, I think the second part of my point is, do we have to follow, if we want to have a library, why can't we operate the library as we want to, since it's not a law that we
can and just.
that we're a member?
State.
Yeah, so, oh, go ahead, I'll let you
Let me see
answer.
if so we would not necessarily have to be a member of IFLIS or the Moore Consortium. But if you go to the next slide, the benefits of being part of are that facilitate and enhance resource sharing. Our ILS, our ILL, and our delivery are all part of being a part of that system. So if we had to purchase an ILS system on our own, the cost would be prohibitive.
We've done that research.
Yes, we've done
Because
that
there was a
research.
board member who wanted us.
Providing ILL services to our resident patrons would become prohibitive. We couldn't afford to purchase a van, hire a delivery person or persons to pick up from other libraries throughout the state, bring those back, take deliveries out. I mean, so there would be losses in service to our patrons.
And a significant decrease in access to the variety of materials
Yes.
that we can through that borrowing system.
Right, exactly. So I think that's kind of, I mean, a library not as a part of that network would have much more limited abilities to serve the community.
And a benefit you don't list is being able to take advantage of the funding that the state provides to the systems, which then we don't get that money directly, but
All of our ebooks that we are able to provide come through IFLIS and the state because of the buying power of a larger organization. Did that help at all, Marion?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So then 43.52 through 57 covers establishment of public libraries. Any municipality may establish, equip, and maintain a public library. A joint library like we are is created by 2 or more municipalities or by a county or the municipalities like we have our partnerships. Tribal associations or governments may also establish public libraries, and counties may establish a county library service, or a joint library. So there are lots of different forms of public libraries.
So another line of question. So if we may do this and we've followed this, now there's state statutes, 43.52 to 57, and whichever other ones are referenced in here, that where do they get their power to enforce, or what is the power to enforce? If we may elect to do this, so let's say we follow everything in there, but we go off on our own on one item. Do they treat us like we're not a library at all then? Do they, what happens? What's their mechanism?
I would guess we'd lose funding.
And it would probably go through the annual report,
It'd go through
because
the
the
annual
annual
report,
report
yes.
goes in. If they were to flag something, you probably get a notification that it needs to be corrected, and what is your plan, and how do you end up there, and then you would have the chance to probably rectify it.
Yes.
Marion, I have a question. What specifically are you thinking?
I'm not thinking anything. What I'm thinking is why are we so worried about this exclusive control that Madison is pinpointing every little thing we do, when we should be able to think out of the box and do something different if we elect to? I'm saying
I think
we
that-
should have options if this is a voluntary thing.
It's voluntary, but the state requires it through the, no, okay, it's voluntary for your city to have a library, or a municipality, I should say. But otherwise, it's the county's responsibility to provide a library system to the residents of the county. If a municipality, for example, Troy, decides not to have a library at their town hall or somewhere nearby, then that's okay. They've chosen not to do that, but the statutes require that the county provide or levy to provide services for the residents there.
right.
And so they have to have access to some type of library in the county. Does that make sense? That's what I got when I read through all of this.
Yeah, I follow that.
Okay.
I'm just.
But I understand your
wondering- I'm just wondering what
But-
their threat is.
Well-
I think the reason they use may is because it's not a shall. Like a city.
Right, a shall is
It's not a
better
shall
or
for a
else.
township or a village, and
But
I have
once
to
the
reread it.
statute goes in place, then it becomes a shall. And that's my question, is it goes from may to you shall do this or else.
Well, it's a, you
It's an
may do this, and
ultimatum.
then once you do this, you're subject to this, and this in order to get this.
I just think as a joint library, to answer
Right.
your big picture question, as a joint library, I think there are possible things that we can do outside of the box of the statutes that we are limited to because of the statutes. Because of the threat of something. I'm trying to understand what the threat
Well,
is.
I think the only place where I know that there is a threat, well, there probably are two. I think what Katie just said, potentially with regard to our membership in IFLAS, is if that there were things that, let us say that at some point in the future, when we need to hire a new library director, we hire someone who does not meet the requirements statewide. Well, then, at that point, the state could say, you can't be a part of IFLAS.
I think it's.
Okay, and
So-
I think that IFLAS wants us and they need us. Economically, I think they need us. I think system-wide, they need us. I think they'd be cutting off their nose, spite their face.
I'm not suggesting-
If we weren't in there.
So can I bring this back really quick? Is there an idea that you have that,
Not specifically,
Okay.
but we've talked about ideas outside of IFLAS before.
okay,
And, IFLAS is a big one, and they need us and we need them. So
yeah.
Right, right.
I would, using that as a threat, I'm really trying to get to the statutes. I think between us, the future board, whoever it is, should be able to have ideas that they can implement that don't incorporate. And maybe to your point, maybe the next leader of the library is the CEO of 3M, who's retired and wants something to do. But he doesn't have the certification that's required under the state statute of 45 dash blah, blah, blah.
Got it.
That's my
We
point.
don't have to worry about that, we'll never afford that person.
Once again, I'm just throwing out an example.
Okay, so that helps me understand what you're saying. And I get it. But I think that's a bridge we need to cross when that,
Oh, right. It's,
yeah. But it's good to be aware. I think
I'm
that's what
saying
you're trying to do,
there's
is make
deeper
awareness.
roots in this, we've
Yeah.
been being told for years and years, and before anybody here was on the board, that, you have to because of this, and I see a lot of mays and memberships in here.
I think, for me, when I read that, it looks like this is minimum. If you're giving money, if you walk in someplace, this is the minimum standard that you're going to be getting. And if you're not meeting that, you're not getting state funding because state can't say it's being used well. So like the certification, they know the standard's been met and that the education's in place to be fiscally responsible and serving the mission of what that public library system is. So the statutes, I think, are a way to just say, here's where we are, rather than this is what you can't do. It's kind of like, this is where you need to start, a starting line.
Kind of odd, but you got me wanting to read 45 again.
Yeah.
Or 43.
All right, I won't interrupt anymore with that line of questioning.
Okay, so, 43.52257 guides the establishment of public libraries. 54 specifically is the library board composition, so we in Hudson have an 8-member board. Depending on the type of library, that number varies. I think this works for us, and I think it's really great that we have someone from the school district on our board.
I think that's a requirement.
It's a requirement.
That's a requirement.
Okay.
And what would they do if we did?
Yeah.
I would have to check that to be
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I read it, it's required. And I think that's because the way back is about the structure, and then it's connected to the state superintendent,
Yeah.
so the school system, so that there's at
Tie
least
it
a.
together.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to open any cans of worms, but one thing, And this did recently come up with, you know, depending on the percentage of funding we receive from the county, if it's at a certain percent, then they can appoint to our library board. So that's something we just always want to be cognizant of. So when we had that presentation a while back, there was a little behind the scenes motivation to
Clarify that, if they give 100% is what you're saying?
It's a certain percentage of revenue.
Percentage of revenue.
And we're not there.
And we're not.
And even at 100%, we're not there.
No.
We are fairly safe.
Yeah. Oh, we are. Yeah.
It would have had to have been part of our bylaws originally, or our, whatever. We're going off in the weeds.
Yeah, yeah.
Not really.
But that,
This is a training session.
yes.
Okay, so you want me, so I looked at this, and one, we're safe on the revenue side, and two, we are safe because of the way that we were formed.
The original agreement?
The original agreement.
Joint agreement.
Did not have that particular piece in it that they can at any time.
But in the alternate reality that we were presented, that was
There was a proposal put out there.
the alternate reality proposal.
Why wasn't that put in front of us at the time as that proposal?
Actually, I did have that in my PowerPoint.
She did.
Oh, you went through it quick then.
Yeah.
No, she put it up there.
Yeah.
I'm saying
It
that-
wasn't, it was in that PowerPoint.
I don't know, I slept through that sentence then.
I remember it very vividly because Tina and I then sat down after that and then I read through the
Yeah,
statutes.
I probably didn't
So much
just
fun.
come right out and say it. I was really kind of, I think it was in red, hoping that you would all pick up on what I was trying to tell you. Because it was not being presented to the board that way.
Yeah, there was no presentation on it. It was shown to us, right? Is that a good way to put it?
Well, yeah.
If these questions aren't asked, we don't know what our powers are.
So, the exclusive control. Library board has exclusive control of expenditure of all monies collected, donated, or appropriated for the library fund and of the purchase of site and the erection of the library building whenever authorized. The library board, so that's why every month you have to approve the bills to be paid because those funds are under your control. Library finances, that's actually all all in the same thing. We have a fiscal agent, that is the city of Hudson. And then all of our revenues include fines, fees, sales, county funds. Donations and bequests may be deposited or transferred as specifically allowed. I don't know that we have a gift policy which will come to the policy committee so that we can look at that and make sure. I think it's time for a review of that. But the foundation is who we really prefer our donations to go to. And then they come back to us in the form of grants. Privacy of library records, that's covered in chapter 43. Privacy of records is really important. It's kind of foundational for librarians to keep what you're looking for, what books you come in and request. That's between you and yourself. So we don't give that information out. Extreme circumstances, if we were presented with a subpoena from a judge, and if that happened, I would be on the phone with Kathy, the city attorney, very quickly before handing anything over. We follow open meeting laws. I think that act got stuck in the wrong, that slide's in the wrong spot. But just so you all know, we do follow open meeting laws, and we will cover that more in depth at another training. 4312 covers our county payments. Reimbursements are required at least at 70%.
Sorry.
Yep.
I saw this one earlier, 4330. Explain what this is saying. This says exceptions to. And so these are records that be given over. So if somebody owes $50, that's a crime that goes to the police?
No, but the library board could make a policy. Some library boards, some libraries do have that as a policy.
It could be a collection agency.
It could be a collection agency.
And we did that for some of the big bills before, right?
Yeah, that was
You
like
had talked
2 years
about
ago we did that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just the total, and it's just saying you can only say what the total amount is, not.
You
It's
can-
not
materials.
what the actual material was that was taken out.
Okay. So county payments, Act 150 was implemented in 1997 and requires payments to libraries within the county. And Act 420, implemented in 2006, requires payment to libraries from adjacent counties. So Dunn, Barron, Polk, Pierce, I think that was all of them, that we request funds for reimbursement for their patrons' usage in Hudson.
Rural usage.
Rural usage,
Yeah.
yes. And those claims have to be submitted by July 1st. In fact, I have my forms off of the state annual report for Paul to sign this evening. So Paul and I both sign those, and then I'll get them in the mail so they're there by well before that July 1st deadline. And then 43.64 county tax and exemption. This provides authority for counties to tax for public library services. A municipality that supports a public library can be exempt by meeting that county exemption. And that request is calculated and submitted annually. Not all library communities will exempt from the county tax.
One thing that's not here that just hits me, and that is the issue about the extent to which our services must be free. That we can't,
Yeah,
I think that might be something to either add to this or just bring that to us so that we've got that bit too, because that question's come up a number of times. Why can't we charge for X, Y, Z?
I think it's on page 5,
Oh,
no?
okay, sorry.
That's okay. The top slide. Every public library shall be free for the
Oh,
use of the
yes,
inhabitants of the municipality by which it is established and maintained.
I think we brought that up when we were talking about parking.
Aha.
I blocked that whole thing out.
So which reminds me, so what happens with that parking? So it's signed in, does somebody go and manually match everything to tickets that are possibly being,
No, but if you were to get a
Sent out?
ticket, if you were to get a ticket out there, and you know that you gave us your license plate number, we can pull that, or we can give it to, the police department.
so they don't take it and do the comparisons before the tickets go out?
No.
Oh, that's terrible.
So
Yeah.
basically, if they drove through that lot, everybody would get a ticket then? Because everybody signed in.
Yeah, but we can maybe have this conversation a little later.
After we get the first ticket.
Well, better not be me.
I mean, we might have a large audience watching our meeting. You can park in the library lot for 3 hours. You just have to sign in at the front desk.
If you're
Okay.
using the library.
If you're using a library,
There you go.
Okay,
Yes.
then you can
Yeah.
park for free.
Yeah.
okay.
So we should get library board license plates.
Little emblems to put on
Anything else, Tina?
our windows.
That is it.
Okay, thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second.